Example number 1. You tell me what to do to factor 6x cubed plus 3x squared minus 4x minus 2. And this is called factor by grouping. So what would you do first?
Group.
Jackson.
Group.
Group. Yeah. So you don't have to look for ABCs. You don't have to find the multiples of A times C because this is not a quadratic. You only do that for quadratics. This is a cubic, right? So you group the first two. Let's group the second two. All right, once you group, what do you do next? Kayla?
You find the greatest common factor.
Yes, thank you. So what is the greatest common factor between those two? 3x squared. Remember, it's always the lowest exponent. So 3x squared is my greatest common factor, so you pull that out, 3x squared. So what's left after you divide it out? 2x, right? Plus, this goes in there once. 1. All right, what's the greatest common factor between negative 4x and negative 2? Negative 2, thank you. So you pull out the negative 2, and what's left?
2x plus 2.
Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is positive 1. So, one last step, right? This is what they have in common, so you pull it out, divide it out, and you're left with 3x squared minus 2. I'm going to tell you right now, this is not factorable. Okay? Now, if this was a minus 3, then it's factorable. Because you could factor out the 3, and then you end up with x squared minus 1, right? So if that's the case, you could do it. But otherwise, you can't. This is not. You're done. This is your factor. Okay? So far, so good?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's try another one. You tell me what to do with this one. Factor. I got 8t to the 4th plus 12t to the 3rd plus 16t squared plus 24t.
Why do they use T?
Yes, ma'am.
I hate T.
Now, remember what I told you starting today. Look at each term and see if you could factor anything out first.
Heck yeah. Just use 4.
4t.
4t. Every one of these have 4t as their greatest common factor. 4 could go into 8, 4 could go into 12, 4 could go into 16, 4 could go into 24. So 4. And then remember, among t to the 4th, t to the 3rd, t to the 2nd, and t, remember, it's the lowest exponent, so 4t. So everybody can factor out a 4t. So we factor out the 4t. And then I got 2t to the 3rd plus 3t squared plus 4t, and then plus 6. Now, Mariah, what'd you do? Now you group. Okay, so we grouped the first two, you group the second two. Okay, so you keep the 4t out here. Now, what's your greatest common factor between those two? T squared. So then when you divide by t squared, what's left? Thank you, 2t plus 3, right? All right, what about between 4t and 6? 2. So pull out the plus 2, 2t plus 3. One last step, right? You bring down the 4t, keep that. Now, between here and here, what's your common factor?
2t plus 3.
So 2t plus 3 comes out. Those cancels out. What's left?
T squared plus 2.
T squared plus 2. And because this is a plus, this is not factorable. Now, if that was a minus, then you can factor. Right? Then t squared minus 1, minus 2. Okay?
That's tough.
What do you think?
Okay.
Now, it's way easier, don't you think? Yeah?
No.
No? You don't think so?
Alright, let's get our homework done.
Okay. How about this last one?
What time is it?
Francis, maybe you do this one. Ready?
Alright, bet.
3n squared minus 3.
3n squared minus 3. Do we have to do what we've been doing? Like that, 3? Negative 3. No? 3? I don't know.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about like how we have to divide it.
Yeah, factor it out, right?
Yeah.
So you brought the 3 out. What's left? N squared minus 1. Now, is this factorable? What does that become? What's n squared minus 1 factor to?
N squared plus 1.
N?
Is that right?
No. Alright, what's my A?
1, I'm 3,
No, we're looking at this. What's my A?
1,
What's my B?
0,
C?
negative 1.
We're going to multiply 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. What times what is negative 1? That's got to add up to sum of B, right?
That's 1 plus negative 1, which is 0.
1 times negative 1 is negative 1. 1 plus negative 1 is 0. Those are my factors. So since this is A, this factors 2. N plus 1 minus 1 with the 3 out in the front. Any questions? That's it. About what? Well, when B is 0, right? I want the two numbers have to be the same but opposite so it'll cancel out. So those are my factors. The reason why we didn't do the split and group is because when A is 1, these are the numbers that goes right in here. Because n times n is n squared. 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. These two middle terms, 1n and negative 1n, those cancels out. So when A is 1, those numbers just go directly into the parentheses. There's no grouping. Okay? Any questions? Okay, I'm done.